Welcome back, handymen and women. So if you clicked on this video today, you're about to get a lot of numbers because that's what we're doing. You're going to find out how many of each type of job you should be expecting to do, or at least the ratio of how many doors am I going to work on versus how much drywall work am I going to do. How often am I going to be working on toilets? What skills do I need? So what I've done is I've put together a nice list. I've gone back 3 months so far with one property manager, and the one property manager I went back 3 months with is the one who I know for sure sends me everything. So he doesn't have a guy who specializes in doors or a guy who specializes in roofs and a guy who specializes in other stuff. He sends every job to me, and this is a very nice sort of overview of how often am I going to be doing doors versus drywall versus blinds versus, leaky tubs or whatever. So I've put together this list. It's going to be a whole lot of numbers. Don't worry about trying to write all these down. I've got a link in the description where you can request the form. It's not anything you're going to be paying for. I'm going to send it to you for free. But if you want to go to the description and click the link to request this list, then you'll just get this list and you can actually look it over yourself and see how it's all broken down. And I don't want to waste any of your time or mine because my babies are out there right now waiting for me. So we're going to jump straight into this, guys. Now, the most common type of job, the most common category of job that I've had over the last 3 months with this manager, and you do need to keep in mind this changes seasonally for a multitude of reasons. But the most common type of job I got was doors. I had 25 jobs related to doors, and they break down as follows. 5 of those doors I did weather stripping on for exterior doors. 6 of those doors was doorknobs and deadbolts that either were broken or just needed to be upgraded, but 6 jobs where I changed doorknobs and deadbolts. 3 jobs were patio door latches. This is actually a very common job, maybe even more common than this number 3 represents right here, right now. I've done tons of them. 4 of them were the front door, so a regular exterior door doesn't latch, and 7 jobs for closet doors. Most of these closet doors are going to be the roller doors up above the bypass doors, and those are really easy to keep inventory on, by the way, because all you really need is the rollers and maybe one spare headrail just in case, but 7 of those. And those sometimes are bifold doors, but most of the closets are the sliders. So next category, sinks. 21 sinks that I did. And the most common was faucets on the sinks. There was 8 faucets that got either repaired or replaced. There were 7 garbage disposals, and guys, in fact, I keep a spare faucet all the time, but really especially keep a spare garbage disposal. Just get the 1/4 horsepower Incinerator, I think they call it the Badger. Get that one. It's a garbage disposal that's very cheap and very common. There were 7 of those that I did. Next most common under sinks was leaky sinks, so either leaking from the strainer basket or the drain pipes down below, and then 1 clogged sink. Clogged sinks are really not all that common, to tell you the truth. Next category, electrical jobs. I did 14 electrical jobs over the last 2 or 3 months for this property manager, and this is vaguely electrical, but I'll go through these. One is exterior lights, and the job's almost always going to be that it's just not coming on, and you're going to need to do a little troubleshooting to figure out why. Another one is just switch covers and outlet covers and switch plates. I have 1 of those in the last 3 months from this guy. I can tell you from other property managers, though, I get a whole lot of those. I think with this one, there's not so many because I've been with him for a while, and I've done move-outs on pretty much all of his properties, and I always tighten those up when I'm done and replace any bad ones. So I think his are just more caught up. But you'll see a lot of that. It's another thing you can keep an inventory on and know that you'll go through that inventory. Light switches, 2 jobs where light switches weren't working and it was not obvious why, and I had to troubleshoot and figure out what was going on with the light switches. And then outlets, same thing. There was 3 of those that I had to go figure out why an outlet wasn't working. A little tip for y'all: when an outlet's not working anywhere on any property, first thing you're going to do right off the bat is just go to the kitchen and the bathroom and reset any GFCI outlets that there are. You'd be amazed what all these things will tie into, and I'd say 30% of the time, if you just go find all the GFCIs and reset them, maybe 25% of the time, it's going to fix your problem without you ever pulling an outlet from the wall. Next is ceiling fans. These are usually, so there's four of these, four ceiling fan jobs. Nearly always because either the fan or the light doesn't work. Little tip for y'all, when you have a light bulb that's not coming on for whatever reason, shut the switch off to it and there's a little tang right in the middle, and just bend that tang down a little bit. Sometimes bulbs with deeper seats will just bend that tang up, and then when you put a different bulb in later, it doesn't hit it. So that's an easy solution for that. But there were four ceiling fan jobs. Doorbells, three of those. Doorbells are a really simple job. There are 1,000 videos on YouTube for how to troubleshoot doorbells that don't work. I highly suggest you watch them and learn them, because otherwise you're going to look like a hack when you're going by and you're installing wireless doorbell system kits because you can't figure out what's wrong with a doorbell. They're super not difficult at all. I did three of those. Drywall jobs. So, drywall damage in the bathroom, and what I mean by this is always right behind the toilet, where you have a shower and then you have a toilet right here, and where the toilet is sitting next to the shower, all that drywall right in there, it gets water coming out of the shower, or you've had a leaky toilet in the past and it soaks the drywall and comes up. But I've done two of those. I have done four what I call touch-up paint, and I know touch-up paint doesn't sound like a drywall job, but for me and my property managers, for all of them, touch-up paint always means pull all the nails, all the screws, all the hardware, patch up all of the small holes left behind, and then paint over them. So it's a drywall job because really the job is the patching of the holes, touching up the paints just to make that patch look good when you're done. And then finally, 7 times, and this is a lot if you look at the numbers on what I'm working on, 7 times just in the last couple, 2 or 3 months, that I've repaired holes in drywall. So this doesn't include the touch-up paint stuff with tiny little holes. These are larger holes in the drywall. 7 times in the last 2 to 3 months, I've done drywall patching. You're going to need to get good at drywall patching, which means you're going to need to get good at texture matching, and you're going to need to get good at paint matching. Next, and guys, this next one is a big one. It's one of my favorites. It makes me tons of money, easy to keep an inventory on hand for, indoors, air conditioned. It's a great job. 12 times in the last 2 to 3 months, I have done smoke detectors, where the only part of the job is just showing up and updating smoke detectors, changing batteries in them, putting new ones in if the old ones are expired, or installing battery-operated ones in rooms that don't currently have any. 12 jobs in the last 2 to 3 months were just smoke detector jobs, and those are easy money. Next, toilets. 11 jobs that were toilets, 1 that wouldn't flush, 4 where the toilet was running, and when that's the case, it's almost always a new fill valve and or a new flapper. Toilet leak, 3 of those where they leaked, all 3 were from the base, all 3 had to be pulled and a new wax ring put in and then reinstalled. 1 was just replacing the seat on the toilet, and then 2 were mounting the toilet, where the tenant was reporting essentially that the toilet was wobbly, and I had to go either tighten down the nuts and everything and sort of seal it up, or a lot of times you're going to find that if the toilet's wobbly, it's because there's something wrong with the flange underneath. So it's mounted to the flange, but the flange is not mounted securely. So you got to take the toilet off the flange, you got to get the flange mounted, and then you got to get the toilet back on with a new wax ring and caulk it up around the perimeter. A lot of people say you're not supposed to do that. I've talked to enough plumbers. It seems to be a very common thing. Just leave a little gap open at the very back, so if there's a leak, that water can escape out the back and it can be noticed and reported and repaired. Next, 8 jobs that involved blinds. 2 of those were vertical blinds, 6 of those were standard blinds. This is going to be just like bread and butter of your existence, really. You're going to do blinds forever and ever and ever. You're going to hate the Home Depot people who were too slow to get over to you to get some blinds cut, and then you're going to learn how to cut your own like I did. I don't recommend it. You have to be super careful. You need a brand new blade. There's a lot of caveats to this. You can cut your own, but I don't recommend it unless you know what you're doing. and what I call bath attachments. This is TP holders, towel bars, and shower bars, like the permanently installed shower bars. I replaced 3 toilet paper holders, or tightened and reinstalled 3 toilet paper holders and 3 towel bars, 1 shower bar. And I do have a video on the TP holders and the towel bars. I recommend y'all watch it. It's more of a foolproof way, so you're not coming back and redoing it again in 6 months. Next, showers and tubs. I did 1 shower drain cover. Those are also pretty common. I feel like that number should be higher than 1, because I usually, I think, would do far more than 1 in that amount of time. It just happens to have not been too many from this specific property manager in the last 2 or 3 months. Tub and shower drips, 5 of those, just from this one property manager, just in the last 2 to 3 months. Almost always is going to be changing out the seat on a valve stem, or changing out an actual cartridge, a shower cartridge. So both of those are, those are plumbers' jobs for the most part, that plumbers are going to charge 200 minimum or more to do. Make sure you charge good for those, because no, you're not a plumber, but if you provided the same value the plumber did, then make sure you're charging what a plumber charges when you do those. And 3 shower heads. I actually don't need to do many of these. I'm wondering why there's so many from this one property manager, but either way, I replaced 3 shower heads. Now I also did 5 leaky roofs, and it's not even monsoon season here in Arizona, so that gives you an idea. If your property managers know that you will fix a leaky roof, because a lot of them will just send it to roofers, but if they know you do and that you will, they'll send a lot of them to you. And all 5 of these leaky roofs, generally speaking, are going to come with 5 additional drywall jobs on the ceiling inside the house. So those are very lucrative. Be good at them and get them done quickly. Yeah, and if they send you a leaky roof, get it done immediately. You can't have water coming into somebody's investment property and ruining their investment property. When you find out a roof is leaking, you get over there and you fix it as fast as you can. 4 sink base bottoms. You know how when the sink leaks underneath, the bottom of the cabinet gets all messed up? 4 of those. Now, I don't think y'all are going to get so many unless you eventually get 1 or 2 and do the same kind of job I do on them. But I have a nice process down for that. I have an entire system. It's probably one of my most profitable jobs. There's times now where my system will have me done in about 30 minutes, and I charge 250 bucks, and the materials are 40 to 50 bucks. So that's like $200 for 30 minutes. That's real good money right there. Air filters. I've put in 3 air filters. I've rescreened or rebuilt 3 screens. Twice I've put in baseboard. Twice I've done pressure washing of a garage. Go ahead and get yourself, guys, I'm going to tell you this. Don't get the big gas-powered, like, nice pressure washers. You can get one if you want. And if and when you need it, go ahead and use it. But when you're doing a garage, you want to just go to Home Depot and get that little tiny Ryobi electric one. It's got enough PSI, and then you get the wand with the handle, and at the end of that wand is this big circular, I don't know what you want to call it. At the end of the wand is essentially kind of like what's under a lawnmower, the way the blade spins inside there, except instead of a lawnmower blade, it's a sprayer attachment spinning, and it will clean the floor. So you basically clean the floor by just doing this. It's almost like vacuuming a floor. You just move real slow, and you do all the square footage. It's a nice, sweet, clean, easy job. I just charge like $100 an hour to do it. I try not to overcharge on it, because anybody can do that job, and I don't want to look like I'm overcharging. So they kind of get a little bit of a discount there, but it's a very common job with a move out. Twice I've secured trim. Once I was called out to deal with some mold, once for rotten carpentry, once for a mailbox, once for an anti-tip device on a stove, and once for a kitchen drawer. Now, there were probably 20 more jobs I didn't put on here that were just very strange, odd, one-off jobs that I don't think belong on a list that's intended to let you know what you need to be looking forward to. But everything on this list is definitely something that you're going to eventually run into, so you can start preparing for that by developing those skills and getting those tools. So again, guys, if you want to go to the description, there's going to be a link to do a request through Jobber for this information that I just gave you in written form. It's not going to cost you anything. It's just the easiest way for me to get this info in and out instead of going to my email and having to respond to everybody one email at a time. If you just go do this request for the info, then it's just going to be a matter of a few clicks for me because I've got Jobber set up to where it does half of my work for me now. So just do that and I'll send you all this list for free. And then in the future, whenever I do have different types of lists that I'm going to be making available to y'all for free, I'm going to do the same thing every time. I'm just going to have the request link on the form for it. There will be a drop-down tab for you to choose which document it is you're looking for. You can just click all of them. You know, right now this is the only one on there. But if you want, you can click all of them, and I'll just send you all the documents that are on that form. So that about covers it for today. This is a pretty good, handy, thorough list for you to have on what to expect working for property managers. I hope y'all are killing it, and y'all have a great night.